fellow wrestling fans, YouTubers, and to my subscribers into the Canvas Chaos Nation. It is I, Hollywood Eric 86, and no, your eyes don't deceive you. I'm finally back on my channel after being away for about a year since the Bray Wyatt thing, as I've been busy and doing everything. But I want to say that I will start getting my reviews up, and I will have a review on the subject that I'm about to do a little rant on because of some of the backlash it's received, and that is the AEW All Out pay-per-view that happened on Saturday. And I'll give a rundown of that on my upcoming pay-per-view review, which I've not done in so long. It's been ages, and it'll be the first AEW one I've done. I've been wanting to do it, haven't had the motivation. But I think today's subject and everything that's been going on since Saturday night has motivated me to want to actually try and do this again. So I'm going to get right into it. I mean, there have been negative comments over what Jon Moxley did to Bryan Danielson and the cage match, the unsanctioned, I might add, lights out cage match between Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. I'm not going to get too much into said things because I'm doing a review on it, but I'm going to get into the subjects that's been negative. Number one and most important, the Jon Moxley thing, he put a plastic bag over Bryan Danielson's head after Danielson's title defense of the AEW World title against, we'll say for this video, Jack Perry, Jungle Boy. But I have another name for him, and I'll get to that on the review. He put a plastic bag over his head, and the only thing that I could think of was 1989, Clash of the Champions 8, Fall Brawl 89, September, when Terry Funk put even of them old white plastic bags, the ones that are a lot bigger, over the head of Nature Boy Ric Flair to further the feud that would lead to the Thunderdome cage match a month later at the very first Halloween Havoc. That was the first thing I thought of, and this bag was smaller than the actual plastic bag over Ric Flair's thing. People need to get online and actually look this shit up. I'm not going to say Google it, because that's been abused too much. But literally, go on Peacock and look up Clash of the Champions 8 and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. That was the first thing I thought of. I was even telling my friend Jake, who was here for that event, telling him the same thing. Yeah. That was the first thing I said. Terry Funk was the last person I remember seeing a plastic bag, so I've seen this before. But there was backlash because there was children. I was 3 years old when that happened. And I'm 38 now. And that didn't traumatize me then. It made me mad because they were hurting not only Ric Flair, but they hurt Sting too. I wanted them to get revenge, which they would successfully get the next month. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, what else is there going to do? I mean, there are AEW people here that support this, and then there are ones that criticize it. But see, it's so divided in the world between AEW and WWE and wrestling fans in general, you can't criticize AEW without being criticized back, because I know certain people on social media websites that defend this shit or defend AEW with their bad booking and want to attack me or attack somebody like that I look up to, like JD from New York. And I'm drastically different from JD on a lot of things. He says things I don't agree with, but I still support him, and I don't ever call him out on anything because I like how he rants, because he reminds me a lot of what I used to do when I did my rants. And the Chi-Town Smart, they always get attacked. But it also reminds me of when I was attacked for having somebody who shall remain nameless in this aspect run his company the same exact fucking way. Or the same way that we had John Cena for 15 years win every damn thing, and we were tired of it. We were tired of having our intelligence insulted. I was ridiculed for that. And see, so we can't openly criticize and see which one's sincere and which ones are fake. Most of the people I think that are criticizing that is the ones that are just wanting to criticize. They really don't criticize, they're fake. But that's what I think. After a successful title defense, Moxley put a plastic bag over his head. I will elaborate more as to why when I do my review later this week, so either tomorrow or later this week, because I want to do a rant on a pay-per-view, and I want to start getting back into the groove of doing that, even if it's a day or two after, because my schedule won't allow me to do it right after. So it'll be a day or two after. I'm hoping that I can do this. But the other aspect was the unsanctioned lights out cage match, steel cage match. Get the picture of this, unsanctioned. Now, I'm going to get into one part of this match because I don't want to give the full rundown because it'll, my review won't be, as accurate as what it is if I give you the full rundown. Basically, what it is that throughout this entire rivalry, there's a rivalry between Swerve and Hangman. And Hangman went ahead and became unhinged because of certain things that Swerve did that I'll get into in my review. And he proceeded to commit arson. He burned down his childhood home, as they put it, live on camera as Dynamite went off the air last Wednesday. And that furthered the feud for the steel cage match. And it was so bad that it was made unsanctioned, lights out. Now, most people, my little nephew who was here said the lights wasn't out because it was supposed to be lights out, but the lights came up. Basically, the lights would go out and the event would be technically over because AEW didn't sanction it. They were not responsible for what they were going to do to each other. Not the first time that happened, because that also happened between Shawn Michaels and Triple H. When Triple H basically committed a one-man homicide on Shawn Michaels outside the window when he beat the hell out of him and put his head through the window of the side of his car and then lied about it until it was revealed, which led to the return of Shawn Michaels to active competition for 8 more years. And then he took a sledgehammer to his surgically repaired back, I might add, that kept him in retirement and left him when I didn't hear a peep. Out of nothing. Or how about all of these supposed attacks New Jack did in his promos? New Jack's promos onto himself as a man that should be locked up for murder because when he basically told Rhino in a pay-per-view promo he was going to take his side and gut him like a pig. And talked about the Baldies in the same way that he was going to hurt somebody and he wasn't so damn mad he had never been this pissed off and he hadn't been loose yet. Or the fact that he committed an attempted murder on a live pay-per-view when he threw someone off a scaffold after purposefully tasing him and being high, wanting him to hit the floor. Or committing a homicide on somebody that lied about their age in the middle of a match called the mass transit incident that ECW did get backlash for. But fans rioted and picketed and wrote and they got ECW back. And he was so bad that WWE took his matches off until they had to change his theme song, which I find stupid even though the song is still cool. But Natural Born Killers was a song that should be used, and they put his match back on it because Joey Styles, being the man that he is, redid his commentary. They put his commentary back over the new song, and he was able to have all of his matches put on there. But the one thing that people are ahead about is when Hangman Page took a syringe and stabbed it into the mouth of Swerve Strickland and and then blasted him over the head with the steel chair with a vicious chair shot, breaking the chair over. Now, I'm going to be not going to play the devil's advocate because I've been an advocate for chair shots to the head, but I do understand the safety and relevance of a professional wrestler's health. They don't want chair shots to the head a lot because it can cause concussions and it can hurt them bad. Yes, I understand that. But it's professional wrestling. They're trained professionals. You don't think Hangman knew what he was doing? A syringe I just think I remember, like I said, New Jack using a scythe to cut people open. Using a staple, and then New Jack getting stapled in the eyes. Yes, it was outrageous, but I didn't hear nobody other than the underground, other than the main people on social media, which was new then, or the dirt sheets complain about it. Mostly Dave Meltzer, but we don't give a shit about what his opinion is. But nobody, they wanted New Jack to come back and get revenge. Or when Sandman was blinded by a Singapore cane shot to the head. Nobody said anything. It's weird to me about how people will find criticism in anything that they do, even if it was a great pay-per-view. It baffles me because look at all the shit that Vince Russo did in WCW that was bad. Or what he did in the Attitude Era pretending that somebody lost a baby. Or the gun incident that Brian Pillman did, that Flying Brian Pillman did to Stone Cold Steve Austin. That got USA Network pissed off. Everybody thought that was a hell of an angle, even though it was controversial for its time because it was 1996. They wasn't at the Attitude Era yet. And also, Austin breaking into his house. Or how about the NWO invading Nitro to the point where the cops got called in Orlando, Florida because because people thought it was real. But I didn't see the dirt sheets other than Dave Meltzer criticize that. I don't count just WWE fans. I'm counting like everybody when they criticize something. Now, they might have, but at the time, I really didn't hear anything. People just thought NWO was just out of control. They needed to be stopped. WCW fans said, oh my God, they're out of control. They're committing almost heinous crimes on people. They need to be stopped. Wrestling fans being wrestling fans, not openly criticizing, wishing they wouldn't get a TV deal like somebody I saw on social media say. Or all the criticisms about it using a syringe and kids being in the audience. I was a child all the way through all that stuff. The paper bag, not the paper bag, but the bag over the head of Ric Flair, I was 3 years old. I was 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old when all the stuff in WCW and the Attitude Era happened. I was 13, teenager. Still considered a kid when all that shit happened. But I don't hear anybody say much about what a certain name did outside of his company up until now, and there are still people that defend him, which I find dumb. Now, I criticize AEW. I'm openly going to admit that I criticize it because their booking's not all been that good, but they've also booked good stuff. And the storyline between Hangman and Swerve is one of the best that they've written. This is probably feud of the year because of how they progressed it. The same thing goes over there in WWE when it pertains to the Bloodline gimmick that they're doing. And the Bloodline run. But people just need to stop and open their eyes and realize that it's professional wrestling. And that they can't always, that they can't satisfy and get what they want all the time. You can criticize all you want, but to openly say that AEW needs to be stopped and that AEW doesn't need a TV deal, that kids don't need to watch it because they're out of control and that was wrong, it was this, shut up. Please. I don't want to sound crass, I don't want to sound rude, I don't want to play devil's advocate, but please shut the fuck up. I had my little nephew over here who was probably around the age I was and seeing that, and he was just speechless. And my brother and his mother knew. And my brother-in-law knew. So, they probably would say that's wrong and everything, but he wasn't traumatized or anything. He was just in shock. And he was picking Hangman to win. I mean, it's ridiculous on how people go about criticizing everything everybody does. People criticize WWE for certain things, and when we praise Triple H, you get the freaking marks over there saying, oh, well, he's not that good, look what he did to yada yada. We know. He's not perfect by any means, but his booking and the wrestling is better. How he's booking his pay-per-views is better. I'll get more on that later when I do a Canvas Chaos. This is just me ranting about people that just want to rant or criticize, and I'm about sick of it. I've been quiet long enough on it because I follow some people on there that openly want to criticize either certain people that criticize AEW or criticize AEW and did it. Their AEW marks is what I put them in. I hate saying that to people because I used to be one when it pertained to wanting change. But don't put yourself in the category if you don't want to be categorized as that. Criticism comes with the territory. People still criticize WWE, and I get criticized for cheering Triple H. Has he done some things that are wrong? Yes. Of course he has. He's not perfect. Because it's not run by one person now. It's run by a conglomerate. The owners are a conglomerate. So a lot of things don't come with him. He does need to get rid of some people in power because they're not helping. But the criticism about the syringe and everything, I have seen more stuff that was worse than I lived through ECW. Terry Funk did some of the most vile, heinous things I have ever seen in my life. And with the paper bag, he used a flaming branding iron. And also, on a personal note, where was the outrage when Mick Foley was thrown off the Hell in a Cell and put through the Hell in a Cell? I recall that made Mick Foley's career / Mankind. And Terry Funk was involved in that by getting chokeslammed, and it was his idea for him to start the match on top of the cell. There was no outrage. Everybody said he was dead and everything, but that made Mick Foley's career because he wound up being 3-time WWE champion. Or should I say, World Wrestling Federation champion at that time, because I can say WWF, this is my channel. Those words are not banned on my channel. But WWE championship for the sake of people that don't know about that. He wound up becoming the world champion again and then retiring after 15 years. And what else? A Hell in a Cell match against Triple H where he again went through the cell. Nobody said nothing. Or how about when Triple H would do Hell in a Cell matches and they were bloody, vile, and vicious with chair shots, steel steps. Now everybody was complaining about the cinder block in the match. Give me a break. Where was that when he used it on Keith Lee? I don't recall outrage happening whenever Swerve did the Swerve stomp to Keith Lee with it, or when it was used on Jon Moxley when he was Dean Ambrose before he left WWE, when he was still in the Shield. Don't play hypocrites and don't be one-sided on this. This is what prompted me to do this. This is probably going to run longer than normal. I apologize because I try to cut my videos down, but when I get going with rants, this is one of them. I hope I explained it the best that I can because I'm running on a kind of adrenaline right here and I'm pressed for time. But I thought I'd come on here and say, don't be judgmental to it just yet. I mean, I understand that there's kids and everything watching it and everything, but don't jump to conclusions because of certain segments. Because, I was told not to watch the Attitude Era because of how the women were dressed, falling out in bikinis, damn near naked, everything. I was told not to watch that, but I watched it anyway, and I watched Nitro. But I mostly watched WCW. And I lived through the Vince Russo era of fucking bullshit. And nobody criticized him on it. That's not till years later. We are a silent majority in that aspect still, because he still has followers who believe his babbling fucking bullshit. I'm not getting on him because then I'll be on here longer than that. But I just want to come on here, express my rant, and express gratitude to the people that actually like the pay-per-view. And I express gratitude to the ones that want to come out and criticize it. Yes, I understand your point on that. But stop criticizing for the sake of criticizing and stop being a fucking hypocrite. Because it doesn't get nowhere in life if you just want to get on there to do it for the sake of wanting to criticize. I've lived through the same thing with the bag incident, with the bag incident with Daniel Bryan, with Ric Flair and Terry Funk. I've lived through Terry Funk's antics even over in Japan. I've seen Mick Foley get thrown off the Hell in a Cell. I've seen Austin bleed with blood pouring down his face in the Sharpshooter in 1997. I've seen every Hell in a Cell match there ever was. I've seen Shawn Michaels fall off the Hell in a Cell. No one said a word, because that's when Kane debuted. I was in the audience when that happened. And I've seen Mick Foley get put through the Hell in a Cell and thrown off. Him get put through it again in his last match. I've seen New Jack commit almost homicides and murders on people in the ring, and his promos talk about it. I've seen him, I watched what he did to Vic Grimes when he purposefully tased him and threw him off a scaffold, wanting to kill him because he had his skull cracked in ECW 2 years prior, and he didn't apologize. I understood New Jack's point. It was a bit much, yes, but most people like us thought it was that it was just typical New Jack, and we chuckled. We wasn't traumatized or scared because we were a different breed. I'm just saying, stop getting your butt hurt and try to figure out, and stop getting your butt hurt and stop figuring out, and then quit making an excuse to criticize. But for those ones that criticize for the sake of the health of the wrestlers and for maybe the kids that are traumatized, thank you, and I hope that Tony Khan hears you. Did it need to be toned down? Yes. But for the sake of the ones that I'm talking to that want to do it just to be spiteful and to just criticize, fuck you. We are all wrestling fans by all association. Via WWE, TNA, NXT, Tony Khan's Ring of Honor, AEW. It don't matter because I watch all of them, including if you watch CMLL, if you watch Japan, if you watch New Japan, if you watch AAA, you're a wrestling fan. It doesn't matter. I get criticized because I watch all wrestling because I have the time for it. I don't know how, but I do. But don't just get on there to sake to criticize. And maybe if you think about it, maybe there's a reason that they did what they did to Swerve. Maybe he needs a vacation. Maybe he needs time off. We'll never know because that's all I've been hearing. But that's all the time I'm taking up for you now. I probably ran a bit long on this rant, but I just wanted to give my opinion. Hope you all like it. If you don't, I apologize. And for the marks that get offended, fuck you. I don't care. But for the ones that I offend that actually genuinely care, I apologize, and I'm there with you. And for the wrestling fans that love and praise that pay-per-view, I love it as well. Thank you all, and I will see you, promise, next time for the AEW All Out, my AEW All Out review. I promise I will do that when I can, either tomorrow or sometime this week, and I will get that out so you all can see it. Thank you, God bless, and I'll see you guys later. Hollywood Eric out. I'll see you later.